This is one of those examples of having a little bit of patience paying off. We're going to look at everything to do with the Transformers Titans Return Breakaway and his Titan Master partner, Throttle, and the custom work that I did on him in the latest GotBot True review. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. I'm humbled that you're here. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, check out Machinery of Man and the Everything Factor. Have a look at Universal Collision. My stop motion series, season 1 is up. I am working on season 2. And check me out everywhere. Now, before I get into this guy, I have a few shout outs, a few things I need to mention. I had said back in January when I looked at the rest of the Wave 3 Deluxes, of course Twinferno in episode 224, Trigger Happy in episode 225, and Hot Rod in episode 227, that I was not going to get this guy and I was not going to have a look at him because it's just a reuse, really, of Chrome Dome, who I looked at, by the way, in episode 176. But this past weekend, my family and I went to Avalon Expo, you know, one of our nerd conventions around here, and there was a little bit of controversy with that, but I had a fun time, and I managed to score this guy from JJ's Fun Stop. What can I say? You know, those guys have been pretty great to me. They have, you know, an array of figures that they're always building on. And I got him for a good deal. I got him for a good price, so hey, why not? So that's why I picked him up. Now, before we get into that, like I said, I have a few shout outs I want to do. First, I want to kind of send my thoughts to everyone that is, I guess, you know, incurring the wrath of and kind of suffering from Hurricane Harvey. Folks, if there's anything you can do to help those people out, do so. It never hurts to lend someone a hand. But, you know, I just want them to know that we're all thinking about them and hope that everyone is safe. Next, I want to give a shout out to Dolcar Toys and Stuff, 2Ks and Dolcar. He just recently started a series called Reviewer Revered, and him and I have talked about that, but his first episode is up and it's with Mr. Bobby Skullface himself, and it is a really great interview, very insightful and interesting. So might be worth checking out as well. And the last one that I want to give a shout out to here is Masterfire, who asked me not that long ago if I was going to get this guy and do a custom on him. And at the time I said no because I had no intention of getting him. But sometimes fate plays a funny role. Now, he just also recently did a review of Leo Convoy, or Leo Prime, whatever you want to call him. The Legends version, and I haven't seen a whole lot of coverage of that, so it might be worth checking out. It's a reuse, of course, of the Alpha Trion mold. Looks absolutely glorious, so you might want to check that out. Now, I'm going to just take this guy out of it just for a moment. Not long ago as well, in episode 301, I looked at an arm upgrade kit for Cup, and I mentioned that there were a couple of loose things like in the elbow and in the wrist, and that I would thicken it up and whatnot. Well, I didn't need to do that. Nada, the Shapeways designer that came up with this set, sent me a replacement for it after doing some tweaks to some of the measurements and the design and whatnot a little bit. And this one works absolutely fantastic. I just wanted to point that out because it is superb now. This is, as far as I'm concerned, the perfect Cup. If you can see your way clear to getting this set, I think it's probably worth it. I gave it a strong score in the review and I still think it's strong. In fact, I think that this is a little bit better. I also have the version now with the pointing fingers, which is very nice, but we still have the full wrist rotation, nice, snug, tight. We have the double elbow, again, nice, snug, and tight. So I thank him for that, and this is a fantastic, fantastic set. It may have needed a couple of tweaks, but well worth it. It's an excellent, excellent set. And One more here. In episode 304, I looked at the entire Siege on Cybertron set, and I had this guy included there. This is, of course, Metalhawk, who I have done some custom work on since, and I just wanted to show it off. I put a gray down around the cuff of his knee, I guess you could call it. I painted the very front of the knees, that they were silver. I painted them red. I painted his elbow piece that was gray, red as well. Oh, and his feet that were gray. I painted those red as well. So it's only a couple of minor touch-ups, but the red that I used matches pretty nicely with what's there. About the only thing off on this guy now is his fists should be blue, and I didn't opt to do them because I don't know how easy it would be to match this blue. Now I could have painted out over all the blue, but this is such a nice rich metallic that I really didn't want to do that. The chest has more red on it than should, but I understand that because of the cockpit, so I left it. But overall, this is a little bit more accurate, ever so slightly. It's still a great figure, great mold. If anything, it's probably a little bit better than what it was, but he scored really well. It's that trigger happy mold, and it's used well. The joints are very nice and tight on it. A couple of people have asked me, have I worried about the gold plastic syndrome with this guy? Actually, no. At first I was a bit concerned, but I'm not, because none of this gold plastic has that swirliness to it. So it should be solid. It should be fine over time. Of course, if anything changes, I will update it right here on the channel for you. But no, I really don't have a concern about that. I think that you are safe with Metalhawk. So taking him back out of it and bringing in the focus of this review, this guy. There we go. Like I said, I did not plan to get him, and he required really a fairly substantial amount of work. Now, just to point out a couple of things, he comes with this blaster here. It's the same one that came with Blur, with Chrome Dome. It's in a nice navy blue. You know, it's just a blaster. And of course, he comes with this other blaster, and you can put the Titan Master Throttle in there in a seated position. This one has two rectangular holes on the bottom. It can go affixed to the top of the vehicle mode. So nothing new with either of that. And then we come to Throttle. And I'll take him out of it just so we can focus here on Throttle a bit, and I will open him up and bring him in. What can I say? It's a little Titan Master. Ball joint at the head. The shoulders can go out a little bit. They're on small ball joints. You can get the seated position. Is he pinned at the hips? He is pinned at the hips, as you can see. And of course he has the face on back. And when you fold him up, you get Breakaway's face. And it's yellow with yellow eyes. It would have been nice if the eyes were blue. I didn't bother to paint those. I did, however, paint the face a darker shade of gray than what it was, because he should be a bit of a darker gray. So there is your Titan Master. Again, like all of them, he's about a 2 for me. Nothing spectacular to write home about. He fits in the slot just fine. And we bring this guy back in. Now, some of you might say, yeah, I don't care about this guy, I don't really know him, and I can understand that. So, just really quick, the guy is actually based on the character Getaway. He appeared in the comic books, and the whole idea was that he was like an escape artist. He was, however, a Power Master, and his Power Master partner was Rev. This time he's been, like so many others, revisioned as a headmaster, using, of course, a Titan as his head. And the Titan's name is Throttle. Why they didn't go with Rev, I don't know. I lost the rights to the name. Who knows? But basically, I think Throttle is supposed to be a bit of an homage to Rev. What else can I say? He has suffered an untimely fate in many of the comic books. According to Simon Furman, the funny joke, the ongoing joke is with a name like Getaway, it's funny if he doesn't get away. I'm cool with the name Breakaway. I think that's an okay rename. The head design here is based on Alec Milne's version, from what I understand, and his robot appearance is based on the Shadowplay storyline. So that's kind of where the inspiration comes here. But of course, me being me, I wanted him to look more G1. So what did I do? Well, I painted the head a darker gray. I painted the navy blue pelvis section, that same shade of gray, and the thighs, which were a lighter gray. I painted those that same shade, as well as the feet down bottom here. I used a red, although it's coming up on the screen, it's kind of pink looking. I used a gloss red on his shins. They were, I want to say white. There's a lot of stark white on this guy. And his arms and fists were completely white. I done his arms and fists with a navy blue. And the yellow came down on the sides of his chest, not in the very center right there. So I added that little bit of yellow as well. It's pretty close. It's pretty accurate to his G1 toy. And I say the toy this time because he didn't appear really in the animation. So I suppose you could repaint him to be more reminiscent of his look in the comic books, which would be fine if that's the color scheme you wanted to go for. But I think the go-to, at least for me, for this guy, is gonna be that that way that his toy looked. I think that's probably the most popularized version of him, perhaps. And it's still respectably close. Now there should be some blue on his shoulders. I don't have that because the shoulder pieces here, the way they move, I think would just rub off and not really last. So I'm kind of cool with leaving them like this. So stock in a package, there's so much white. I can only score at about, even though it is pretty reminiscent, but I can only score it really at about a 5.5. It was boring. This now, at least I think it's about, an 8. I think it's a bit better and more broken up than what it was. Articulation for the guy, well, the head can go left and right, it can look up and down, the arms can go well out to the side, we have a bicep swivel, we have the elbow, we have the wrist that can hinge in, we have a waist swivel, we have full leg out, way back, thigh swivel, nice and 90 degrees at the knee. The toes can hinge forward and back, really for transformation, but you have it. And the legs can split out about that far, not full splits, but pretty close on. And that's kind of it for his articulation. His articulation is a solid, it's a solid 8, 8.5. It's good articulation. Wrist swivel maybe would have been nice, but besides that, the guy pretty much does everything that you would possibly really want him to do. So I totally dig that. So we, have a score for this guy now that's about 8.25. If you're wondering about, how he scales, well, here he is with Cup. So you can see how he scales there. Here he is again with Metalhawk. So you can see how he scales there. Here he is with both of them. There you go, the custom trio. So you got that kind of going for him. He shares, I think, parts with Blur, being the kneecaps sticking up right here, painted gray, and the thighs, and of course his blaster piece. A lot of this engineering comes from like that dead end, breakneck, smoke screen. Who else used it? I don't know. There were 6 or 7 uses. I think the Collector Club might have even had a blue version of Blue Streak. It shares a lot with that Combiner Wars figure, and improves on it a little bit by doing things like bringing the hood section in closer to the body and bringing the roof sections down in the back. Now there's some paint apps added in vehicle mode as well. We'll see those when we get there. So transformation for this guy, I'm just going to fly through because like I said, we've already looked at it with Chrome Dome in detail back in episode 176. So I'm just going to kind of fly through quickly here. Of course, we take off our Titan Master and get him out of the way, straighten out the arms and fold in the fist. Arm out and fold in the fist. We pick the roof section off of the back and hinge it up. I haven't done this guy in a while, so you might have to bear with me a little bit, as I'm sure I'm going to end up forgetting things. I believe we turn him at the waist. We're going to say we turn him at the waist for now, anyway. We open out the front of the leg there, and we open out the front of the leg there. We flip up his foot. Okay, so now we have this much done, and we have the legs here tabbed together if you didn't already have that done. We flip down the leg sections there. And now the arms come in. There's a little slot right there and a little tab right there. So you bring the arms down and you slot them in. You bring this arm down and you slot it in like that. You take the hood section here and bring it all the way forward and tab that in. You take his chest piece here, if you can get it off. One here is really tight. And you bring that up underneath. And you bring forward the roof sections. The roof sections will come down. They'll tab together as well. And you squeeze it all in. That down. And that piece down. Squeeze it all together. And boom. There you go. You have Breakaway in his vehicle mode. So what did I add here for paint apps? I added a silver streak in between the red and the blue on the hood. Truth is, the blue streak should be a little bit thicker and flare out a bit, and there should be another blue line in by the red, but I thought that that was extremely more detail oriented than I wanted to get for really what's a fringe character. On the back here I added red right here and black just very up top there, just because that's sort of the breakup that was on the original toy. I colored in his tail lights red, just because they're tail lights and why not. His headlights, though you may not be able to see it very well, I did in yellow, and yellow down on his fog lamps, I guess that probably is, and a little touch of silver in right there. By the way, this is the stock gray that was on him. It's a shade or two brighter than the gray that I used down here. I mean, you can see it right here. These hinges are that stock gray. And you can compare it to like the thighs. The thighs are just a little bit darker. He rolls fine, you know, as well as Chrome Dome rolls. The transformation is solid. The joints on this guy, all of them are really solid and good. It's not a hard transformation at all. I'm going to give his transformation a 10. Overall, this guy is actually a 9. But I can understand why people would not bother to get him, because in a general sense, it is just really boring. He's not an exciting character. He's a solid character. You know, it's a solid toy. He's a good toy. It's just not an engaging character. You can put that along the side, for example. And then you have these two pegs up on the roof. That the roof is painted, translucent plastic that's painted, so you might want to be careful putting this on. I mean, you don't want to rub it off or something. There it is up there, and you can put your Titan Master up there. Or, of course, you can open up the roof and put him inside the vehicle as the driver of the vehicle. You have, you know, choices, and I guess that's always a good thing. But yeah, it's a solid figure. It's just not an exciting figure. And only for the fact that I got a good deal on him, I really wouldn't have bothered with him. I would have looked him over if you already have Chrome Dome. If you don't have Chrome Dome, it's a good mold, and I would pick it up. It's fun. But if you have that original use of it, I don't think that you really need this guy. If you find him on a good deal, why not? So, he's solid. He's fine. You know, he's a quality figure. It's just not a very engaging character. Anyway, folks, that's it. Let me know what you think of this guy. Let me know what you think of my work on him. And as always, I thank you for dropping by, giving me some of your valuable time, and I look forward to the next time that you and I get together for another visit right here inside the video.